Once upon a time, a man went to the Buddha for advice on how to control his emotions. He struggled with anger and frustration and longed to find ways to better manage his emotions. The Buddha smiled and asked him to sit down, and then said, "Let me tell you a story. A long time ago, there was a king who ruled a prosperous kingdom. One day, he decided to visit a nearby kingdom and heard that the king there was known for his wisdom. When the king arrived, he was highly respected. The king of a neighboring country prepared a grand banquet for him. At a banquet, the king discovered a fly in his soup. Feeling sick, he ordered the servant to bring him a bowl of soup. The king of the neighboring country saw this and said, "Your Majesty, please don't be angry. It's just a little fly. It doesn't matter." The king replied, "I can't stand such a thing. Even a little fly can destroy my mood." The king of the neighboring country smiled and said, "Your Majesty, please allow me to give you some advice. It is not the flies that ruin your mood, but your reaction to it. You have the ability to control your emotions. Don't let them control you." The king understood these words of wisdom, and from that day on, he began to practice the art of not reacting when faced with situations that might trigger emotions. He found that he was able to stay calm in challenging situations and make smarter decisions. The power of non-reaction is an important lesson for all of us. We often react without careful thought, which can lead to negative consequences. Angry and frustrated reactions to situations can damage our relationships with others and prevent us from making clear-minded decisions. However, the key is to understand that not reacting does not mean we should suppress our emotions. Emotions are a natural part of the human experience, and it's important to acknowledge them. Rather than react impulsively, we should take time to process our emotions and express them in thoughtful ways. In another corner of the world, there is a young man named Michael, an extremely emotional individual who often reacts impulsively to situations that frustrate him. He would get angry and say hurtful things, leading to arguments and hurt feelings. One day, Michael decided to take control of his emotions. He understood that his impulsive reactions were doing more harm than good, and he was eager to make a change. He began experimenting with mindfulness and meditation, which helped him become more aware of his thoughts and emotions. He also began practicing not reacting to situations that would normally trigger his emotions. Whenever he finds himself in a situation like this, he takes a step back, takes a few deep breaths, then carefully assesses the situation and responds in a thoughtful way. At first, Michael found it difficult to control his emotions, and he still felt angry and frustrated. But he learned to step back and not react impulsively. As he continued to practice, he found it became easier to master his emotions. Michael also noticed that his relationships with others improved. Instead of getting into arguments and hurting people's feelings, he was able to communicate in a calm and thoughtful way, helping him build stronger relationships. One day, Michael's friend came to him for advice. His friend was going through a difficult time and was feeling very depressed. Michael listened to his friend's problems and offered words of comfort and support. His friend said gratefully, "You always know what to say, and you never get angry or frustrated." Michael smiled and replied, "It's not that I never feel angry or frustrated, but I've learned to control myself, emotions, and not letting them control me. This is a powerful tool that has helped me improve my relationships and overall happiness." Michael's friends were impressed by his experience and curiously asked how he learned to control his emotions. Michael enthusiastically shared his experiences with the power of mindfulness and non-reactivity and encouraged his friends to try these methods. Friend is deeply grateful for the advice. Over time, Michael came into the spotlight for his calm and thoughtful attitude. His ability to handle difficult situations with ease, and people admired his tenacity and resilience. He continues to practice the art of mindfulness and non-reaction, and finds that it gives him greater inner peace and a greater sense of well-being. The power of non-reaction is a valuable lesson we can all learn. Although it takes practice and patience, the rewards are worth it. By controlling our emotions, we can improve our relationships, make smarter decisions, and live more fulfilling lives. The moral of the king and Michael in the story teaches us that we have the power to control our emotions. We may not be able to control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond to it. By practicing mindfulness and non-reaction techniques, we can learn to control our emotions and respond in thoughtful ways. It's a powerful tool that can help us improve our relationships, increase our happiness, and overall improve our quality of life. So, let's take the time to practice and develop this powerful skill and let it change our lives. Anger may always be there, but as long as there are no resentful thoughts in your mind, it will fade away. Greater is he who masters himself than he who conquers 1,000 victories. Don't let your reactions guide you, but be guided by your actions. Inner peace is not found externally, but comes from the soul. As soon as we get angry in an argument, we have stopped pursuing truth and begun pursuing personal desires. The mind is the key to everything. Your thinking determines who you become. Don't be punished for your anger, but be rewarded for your reason. The source of suffering is attachment. If you want to make others happy, you need to cultivate compassion. If you want to be happy yourself, you also need to practice compassion. Letting go brings freedom, and freedom is the only condition for a happiness. We cannot be truly free if we remain clinging to anger, anxiety, or material possessions in our hearts. Of 1,000 words, one can best bring peace. Everything we experience is the result of our thinking. Choose to respond rather than react, and respond with reason rather than emotion. In the end, only 3 things matter: how deeply we love, how tenderly we live, and how gracefully we let go of things that are not ours. He who can experience the unity of life sees himself in all living beings, sees all living beings in himself, and sees everything with impartiality. Happiness does not diminish through sharing. We are shaped by our thoughts. We become what we think. Don't get stuck in the past. Don't dwell on the future. Focus on the present. 3 things cannot be hidden for long: the sun, the moon, and truth. The only way to find true happiness is to let go of your attachment to things and people. Thoughts are everything, and what you think is what you become. A man's heart is not his enemy, nor his enemy, but what leads him to the path of evil. An idea that is developed and put into practice is more important than an idea that simply exists. Nothing is as powerful as passion. Nothing as dangerous as hatred. Nothing as seductive as stupidity. Nothing as destructive as greed. What we think determines who we become, and what we think shapes the world. If you want to fly, you have to let go of the things that are holding you down. If you want to change the world, you must first change yourself. Happiness is not prepared in advance. It comes from your own actions. The question is whether you think you have enough time. The mind is like water. When it is rushing, it is difficult to see things clearly. But when it is calm, everything becomes clear. Words are like sharp knives, capable of wounding without shedding blood. Do not try to follow in the footsteps of the wise, but seek what they seek. It is up to you to be pure or not. No one can purify another person. Let us stand up and be grateful today. Even if we have not learned much, at least we have learned a little. Even if we have not learned much, at least we are not sick. Even if we are sick, at least we are still alive. The only real failure in life is being unfaithful to your truest self. The past has become history, the future has not yet come, and you only have this moment to live. Laziness is a shortcut to death, while diligence is a way of life. Hatred will not stop because of hatred, but only because of love. This is the eternal law. Whatever the monk pursues with his thoughts and reflections, that becomes a factor in the tendencies of his consciousness. Don't dwell on the past. Don't fantasize too much about the future. Focus your mind on the present. Thoughts are everything, and what you think will determine who you become. Don't look for a century in others. because the real century lies within yourself. The only way to create great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking and don't stop. Like all things involving the heart, you'll understand when you find it. The greatest glory in life is not in success, but in getting back up every time you fall. No one can save us, and no one can save us but ourselves. We have to make this journey ourselves. If you found inspiration in this story, please hit the like button and share it with your friends. Leave your thoughts in the comments section. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell. Your participation accelerates our journey. Thank you for walking with us on this path of wisdom and enlightenment.